Morning. It's Morning Thunder for October 13th. I don't know why I'm doing these every day, and I still don't remember what day it is each day that I'm doing it. It's Thursday. It is about 15 to 10. I'm getting to work later than I want to be. I had a hard time getting out of the house this morning. I went through the iOS 5 upgrade last night, and was required to update my Apple ID for security reasons. They wanted it to be an email address. I apparently fat-fingered my email address, and I was trying to log in, and it wouldn't let me log in. So I had it send my password to my email, which never came because I fat-fingered it. So, yeah, I have to actually called Apple support this morning. They were pretty helpful, but I have to email the iTunes support, which is irritating because I'm sure they're getting slammed with stuff right now with iOS 5. So anyway, it seems like there's some interesting changes with the iCloud and everything in this new iOS. So that could be pretty cool. Being able to sync your apps and stuff without having to use the cable is pretty sweet. So I wrote down on my list of stuff to talk about was the place of art. I am not an art major. And my friends who are artists will, I'm sure, would be able to have a much longer discourse about this. Art is, to me, is sort of one of those amorphous topics that people talk about, and they have their opinions on what art should be, and opinions what art is and what art isn't. And it seems like it's not really. It seems like it's not very clearly defined. So art is this sort of, like I said, it's this amorphous, nebulous kind of concept that, good architecture could be art. Really nice landscaping could be art. Taking taking a picture of smeared monkey poo on a wall could be art. I think it all depends on your particular bent. But I was reading there are these really fascinating trade paperbacks, and I really like the concept of them that Image did, called Flight. Some of you, I'm sure, are going to be familiar with them. I think there's 4 volumes that they've done, and essentially what they do is they commission all these artists who are either, some of them are pretty well known, a lot of them aren't, to do art that has something to do with flight. And that's a pretty broad interpretation, right? I mean, essentially, if I have one panel in my comic that has leaves that are sort of blowing through the air, that constitutes flight because they're flying through the air, right? Or if I am pissed off because I've had an argument with somebody and I slam the door and I walk away, that has to do with flight because I'm flying, right? I'm fleeing the argument. I'm running away. So it's pretty broad, and I like it. I like the concept that you can have all those different things and all those different interpretations. And I've always been really into kind of those random conglomerations of art pieces. And it doesn't necessarily have to be something that is rooted in this world. They have one that has to do with this fox named Rex, and The Adventures of Rex is what it's called. And if you want to look it out, it's done by Michel Gagne. First name is Michel, Michel, last name is Gagne. And you can get it from Amazon. If you have a good local library like we have here in Seattle, then you can get it through your library too. Really cute art, very imaginative stories. I don't think there's any words in them. And every Flight trade paperback, he's had a segment in it. And they don't necessarily make sense in terms of, like, why does this fox have a giant horn on the front of his head? You don't necessarily get the whole story going along, but it's still really interesting and it still really applies. And then there's art in it that makes no sense to me whatsoever. It's the art where it's like, oh, well, we flew back in time and we found this magic chest that I can hide in, and we thought it was from one of these. This girl had brothers who bought this thing, and they found out it was from the Qing dynasty, and it was supposed to be this time box. Then her brothers die in a car accident, right? So it's horrible. It's like, ugh. And then she spends more and more time in the box, and apparently it works. It locks her away from time, and in the end, you're not really sure if she's dead or if she's asleep and dreaming these things. But the last panel is her buried underneath all this rubble. So I think the implication is the fact that she basically suffocated to death. That's awful. Ugh, I don't like that. And so this is one of those things. It's like, well, what's the place of art? Is art supposed to make me feel better? In my interpretation, my opinion, is, as a broad category, art is supposed to elicit some kind of emotional response from us. But I prefer art that doesn't make me feel like I need to go slit my wrists. You know what I mean? So it's at 5 minutes and 30 seconds. I could probably talk about this more. If you're interested in hearing more, please feel free to post in the comments. But I think for today, I'm going to go ahead and wrap it up. This has been Count Joshua, the Big JB, your host for Morning Thunder. I will catch you tomorrow for more witty insight and randomness, I guess. Have an awesome day.